Good evening, everyone. Hello and happy Tuesday. This is our Tuesday edition of our leadership development call. My name is Mariam Kareem, and I'm so happy to have everybody here so we can learn and grow our businesses from our amazing coaching entourage. Um, it's Transformation Tuesday. If I haven't said that before, I'm saying it now. Um, Transformations really start to happen. Well, let me tell you about that in Newbie Corner. So, I noticed a lot of things in the last 2 weeks. I noticed things that our coaches have shared with us over and over, as what is repeated is remembered, and what is remembered is repeated. And I have noticed so much fruition of a lot of the things that they say as far as the conscious competence of the levels of learning. I've noticed um a lot of the better quality of people that I'm coming in contact with. I'm learning how to just, I guess, have that discernment of what fits with one person, what may not fit with the other. And it has just been an explosive time for me. I'm going to share, but not yet right now, because I just kind of want to make sure that everything is the way that it's working. But it has been an amazing 2 weeks for me. Um, and like I said, pay attention to what our coaches tell us, because some of the things you may not understand, but when you're going through the motions, you're going to say, "Oh, that's what they were talking about," or "I get it now. I get it now." And when it has so much more meaning, and it gives so much assurity in your heart and in your mind and in your actions that this is the business to be in. So that being said, I'd like to introduce you all to our teacher tonight, Coach Seymour Greenidge Blake. He is an amazing person in the network marketing world, six-figure earner here at our Green Organics companies, always has great information. If you have not been taking to heart the things that he says um, in his lessons on Tuesdays, you really need to, because only will you get to that moment where you've really decided that this is what you want to do, that you'll really be able to absorb what he's saying. So, Coach Seymour Greenidge Blake, are you available, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Thanks for that introduction. And
You're
and you
welcome.
are so right. I sure hope that we really take the time when we get on here on Tuesdays, not just on Tuesday, but all every week that we're on here doing these calls to pay attention to what the teachings that are being taught, because it can definitely resonate with you if you're really serious about taking your business to the next level. Um, and like I've been saying the last few weeks, it's crazy how we don't communicate before the call starts on any of our calls, but especially on Tuesday. But it seemed like for the last past few weeks, to me and you, Miriam, is like the call is just entwining together, you know? So today's topic is going to be the part two of the continuation of last week, because last week I had it two sections, but I didn't want to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours going over the whole thing. So I broke it down into two parts, and tonight going to be the second part of last week's call. And like I said, every week I need everybody to be in a place where it's quiet, where there's no distractions, no TV on. Don't be cooking. Don't be washing clothes, washing dishes. I want you to pay attention to what I'm telling you, because if you seriously want to see your business go to the next level, you got to really start setting your mindset. And like I said in the past, the reason it's called mindset is because you have to set your mind to be what you look to do, what you're trying to get to, or to achieve what you're trying to achieve, and that to reach that goal. So, with that said, guys, make sure that you're in a quiet place, no distractions. Don't be doing anything else. And a lot of time we can see you on the camera if you have your cameras on. So if you're going to be doing all that, just turn your cameras off so We don't have to see that distraction. So, but try and pay attention to these classes because I'm saying this because sometimes it gets to me that some people a lot of time we have more faith in some of you guys that's on these calls than you have in yourself. And sometimes it's like, are they really paying attention to these classes, these teachings that we're teaching them? Because if they were, they should be moving forward. They shouldn't be still in the same place they were a year or two or 3 or 4 or 5 years in the past. They should be moving forward. And another big thing I want to say before we get started, if you really want to take your business to the next level, go to a live event. The next event is not till August. We in March. There's no reason, no excuse why anybody should say, I don't have the money to get there. This is March, the third month of the year. The event is in August the 8th. You have 5 months to start putting money together, putting money aside so that you can get to this event. Because if you do that, I'm telling you, by the time you go to your next event, you're going to see your business scale, you're going to see your finance scale. So, with that said, let's go ahead and go off camera so we can get started. Uh, and here we go. So, I'm going to start by giving you the title for tonight's training. Our teaching, like Coach Marco said, we train animals, we teach people. The power of personal reinvention, becoming the person your next level requires. I'm going to say it again. The power of personal reinvention, becoming the person that your next level requires. Start by saying good evening to everyone that's on the call. We got 35 leaders on this call tonight. So, good evening to each and every one of you. Tonight, I want to talk about something that many people overlook when they talk about success, business, health, and even leadership. Even leadership. Most people spend their lives trying to improve their circumstances, but very few people spend time improving the person who is living inside. What I mean by that is this: people often try to change what they have without first changing who they are becoming. I don't know if you heard that, but let me say that again. Many people often try to change what they have without first changing who they are becoming. If you really study the lives of success individuals, you will notice something very interesting. Their lives did not change because of luck suddenly found them. Their lives did not change because the world suddenly became easier. Their lives changed because they made a decision to reinvent themselves. And I want you to start doing that. You got to make that decision to start reinventing you. And you got to do it for you, not for somebody else. You got to do it for you. And that means that a person stop living as the version of themselves that the world has become familiar with, and instead become evolving into the version of themselves that their future requires. See, most people underestimate how powerful that idea is. And some of us on this call also underestimate the power that you have. And the reason why some of you underestimate it is because you are thinking changes about external things. You are thinking change means finding a better job, finding a better opportunity, finding better environments, or even finding better circumstances. But guys, the real transformation rarely begins with the external part of you. It almost always begins internally. It begins with how you as a person think, how you as a person see yourself, and how you as a person approach life. Think about the person that you were 10, 15, 20 years ago. Your thinking was completely different to how it is now. And I know that for a fact from me. 15, 20, 25 years ago, if you said the wrong thing to me, you will meet a person that you didn't know exists if you knew me. Today, I think before I react. I remember growing up, my mom used to always say to me, "You gotta stop being so angry. You gotta stop being so angry." But because I was teased a lot growing up, I didn't have the time to think about stop being angry. And it got me in some trouble. It got me in some trouble. I'm surprised I lasted as long as I did in the military. Because some of the things that I did while I was in the military, if I did that on the outside world, I'll be locked up. And I tell you, I used to have such an anger. I swang at a lieutenant colonel while I was in the military. That's how quick I used to snap. So when you look back at 10, 15, 20 years of how you used to think compared to today, how you're thinking, your experience becomes different. Your knowledge becomes different. And in many ways, you're not the same person today that you were back then. I know for a fact I'm not. The reason is because life forces you, not somebody else forces. Life forces you to grow. See, experiences shape you, and challenges will strengthen you, but lessons mature you. Once you start learning that lesson, you don't want to go back down that road again. So it's going to make you mature. It's going to force you to grow. So what most people never realize is that the same process that happened naturally through life can also be done intentionally through self-development. Understand intentional growth is one of the most powerful habits that a person can develop. Let me say that again. Intentional growth is one of the most powerful habits that a person can develop. See, because when someone becomes intentional about growth, they stop waiting. They stop waiting for life to teach them a lesson through hardship, and they begin teaching themselves through learning, reflection, discipline, and action. Instead of reacting to circumstances, they begin shaping their direction. I had to do that because I'm telling you, if I kept the path that I had, I'd probably be in jail or dead today. So I had to start making that decision to change. You need to start doing the same. One of the biggest obstacles people face when trying to grow is from familiarity. That creates comfort. Comfort creates resistance for you to change. Human begins human beings are naturally drawn to what is familiar. Why? Because familiarity feels safe to them. The challenge is that what is familiar is not. I mean, the challenge is that what is familiar is not always what is beneficial. A person may remain familiar and keep those habits. Why? Because familiar thinking patterns, familiar environments for years, even when those patterns are holding them back from what? Life that they truly want. So when someone decides to reinvent themselves, they must be willing to temporarily leave the comfort of that familiarity behind. You got to be willing to think different, act different, and sometimes even stand apart from the expectations that others have placed on you. Like I said, I had to do that, especially when now I had that responsibility to raise my boys. I didn't want my boys seeing that part of me. And they have, but I didn't want them growing up with with that personality that I had. So I had to change it because, like I said in the past, there's only one man in this world other than God that wants you to be, well, I won't add God to this, but there's only one man that wants you to be better than them, and that's your father. I didn't want my boys to have the same type of mindset that I had because of the anger that I used to have inside of me. I didn't want my kids growing up with that. So I had to change. And sometimes it's not always easy, guys. It's not always easy because people around you, they're often comfortable with the version of you that they have always known. When you begin evolving, some people become confused and they become confused at that change. Some of them become skeptical. Some of them will even become critical about it. But you know what they're really reacting to? They're reacting to the fact that growth disrupts the pattern that people are used to. They're not used to see that growth in you. When someone grows, they stop fitting neatly inside of the expectation that others have created of them. Understand that growth requires courage because becoming someone new means leaving behind, again, certain habits, certain mindsets, and sometimes even certain environments. One of the most important parts of personal reinvention is that the way a person begins speaking to themselves. So you have to speak to yourself for that to change. You got to sit down sometime in a quiet place and just talk. Listen to yourself. Look in the mirror and talk to yourself in that mirror. And you want to do this when you're by yourself because then you don't have no distraction. You're listening. You don't have somebody asking you, man, are you going crazy over there? So you want to sit down by yourself, look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Make that decision that today is time for you to change. Every individual carries on a constant conversation internally throughout the day. And I know you do. I know you do. Because for you to even think of something, you have to be having that conversation in your head. And that conversation can shape how you see challenges, how you respond to the opportunity, and how you interpret events in your lives. If that internal conversation is negative, discouraging, or even doubtful, it becomes extremely difficult for you to move forward confidently. So make sure that that conversation is a positive conversation. On the other hand, when someone learns to guide their inner dialogue towards encouragement, responsibility, and belief, sometime powerful, something powerful will begin to happen. Your mind will start cooperating with progress rather than resisting it. This is why successful individuals often spend time feeding their minds with empowering ideas. We read, we self develop, we manifest positive vibes. Okay? That reading books can help stretch your thinking. You see, we listen to conversations that challenge our perspective. We surround ourselves with people who are committed to growth. All these influences shape what? Internal environment of your mind. Just like the same way as when you have a garden, excuse me, and you want to grow whatever is planted in that garden, is the same way, and you have to water it, is the same way that human minds grow, whether it's repeatedly that we place inside, repeated stuff that we place inside of our minds, whether it's negative, and limitation of those thoughts begin shaping your expectation of life. So you want to water your brain and your mind with positive thoughts, with self-development thoughts. There's some water here. Throat's starting to dry up again. But if a person consistently feed their mind with learning wisdom and possibilities, those thoughts become what? Shaping a completely different outlook. If you was to take acid and pour on your plants, it's gonna kill it. So if you pour in negativity into your thoughts, it's killing your dream. It's killing. If you're saying that I can't do this or I'm not good enough to do that, you are killing your dream. So you got to feed your dream with positive thoughts. See, another important aspect of personal reinvention is what? It's patience, guys. Some of us want to see positive growth the next day. It takes time. See, a lot of people begin the process of growth, but they stop too early. Why? Because they expect immediate transformation. It takes time. Growth rarely happens overnight. It's not like you picked the winning lottery number and you became a millionaire overnight. You have to work on it. Okay? It rarely happens overnight. See, most meaningful changes happen what? Gradually. It happens through repeated choices that accumulate over time. Imagine a person deciding to improve their physical health. And the first few days, it may feel challenging because why? The body's adjusting to new habits. The results may not be immediate or visible immediately, but that person remain consistent, something begins happening slowly. Energy improves, strength improves, confidence improves, and eventually the transformation becomes visible to everybody else. Those of us that know Marion when we first started this, And we look back and we see where Miriam was then and see where she is today. We saw that transformation because she was consistent. She didn't give up. She had a drive. She had a goal to achieve. And when she achieved it, we started seeing a different Miriam. We started seeing Miriam smiling on her calls. We started seeing her just being looking happy. When you got in person around her, you saw the difference from the first time you met her to if you go to an event now and see Miriam, her energy is just is up there. Why? Because in her mind, she had to change that first. Personal development works the same way, guys. The early stages may feel subtle, but the long term impact becomes profound. The person who reads a little each day learns a little each day, reflects a little each day, grows a little each day, and will eventually become someone whose wisdom, clarity, and confidence stands out in every room that they enter. I remember the first time I met Jessica Hill. She was shy, she was quiet, she was just like curved in. But now when you go to these events and you get around Jessica, her vibe is full of energy. She get on the calls and you can tell the difference because the self-development. Another part, another key part of the reinvention involves what? Responsibility, guys. When individuals fully accept responsibility for their growth, something empowering starts to happen. So instead of waiting for someone else to guide you, motivate yourself or change your circumstances. You got to begin guiding yourself. You got to begin asking better questions to yourself. You got to begin seeking better answers. You got to begin designing a better life rather than reaction or reacting to those old side of you and the old you. Responsibility is powerful. Why? Because it resolves and it restores control. The moment that someone takes responsibility for their development is the moment that they stop being a victim of circumstances and become an architect of their future. Remember last week we talked about architect. Now let me share something important and very important about growth that many people overlook. It's not only about gaining new skills or knowledge. Growth is also about letting go of things that are no longer serving you. That may include outdated belief of yourself. It may include habits that once felt comfortable to you, but now holds you back. It may include environment that discourage your progress rather than support. It might also include sometimes friends or families. Letting go can be difficult. Why? Because people often develop emotional attachments to what is familiar to them. However, growth, it requires space sometimes because you need space for you to grow. Just as a tree needs room to expand its branches, a person needs space to expand their potential. See, so when someone commits to reinvention, they begin viewing life differently. Challenges are no longer seen as punishment, but as opportunities for you to learn. Obstacles become teachers. When you kneel down at night and you ask God to guide you to make you have a better life, a better financial, a better healthy life. God already knows the answer and the results, but sometimes He put obstacles in front of you to see how bad you want it. It's the same way when you put your direction in the GPS. That map, that GPS already knows your final destination. But sometimes along the way, you're going to run into detours. But if you want to get to that destination, did you let that detour stop you? So why are you letting obstacles that come in your way on your way to success stop you from getting there? Why? See, each experience becomes part of a larger process of development, guys. Over time, this perspective creates resilience. And understand that resilience is the ability to continue moving forward even when circumstances are difficult. How many times as I told myself as I was growing up, and not necessarily growing up, but raising my kids, man, I can't keep doing this. I gotta quit. I can't deal with this no more. What if I would have done that? What if I would have done that? So ask yourself that same question. If I quit today, how much time did I waste over the times trying to get to achieve my goal? And if I quit today, where will my life be 3 or 4 years or even a year from today? See, the people who achieve extraordinary results in life are rarely the ones who avoid difficulty. More often, we are the ones who learn how to grow through difficulty. I had to learn that. I imagine what happens when a person commits to this process consistently for several years. Their thinking becomes sharper, their confidence becomes stronger, their understanding of people becomes deeper, their discipline becomes more reliable, and eventually that person becomes someone capable of handling opportunities that will have overwhelmed them earlier in life. That is the real power of personal reinvention. That prepares you for the life that you are building. The future does not simply belong to the people who wish for it. The future belongs to people who prepare themselves to handle it. So the question each of you should be asking right now is not simply why we want to achieve. The deeper question is, who are we willing to become in order to achieve it? You see, because when you focus on becoming the right person, the right opportunity eventually recognizes you. And when that moment arrives, you will be ready. And when I say ready, I mean you'll be ready for it because you took the time to grow into that person that your future required. Let me say that one more time. The deep, the question that you must ask yourself simply is, what do I want to achieve? The deeper question is, let me go back. The question each person must ask is not simply what you want to achieve. The deeper question is who I need to be willing to become in order to achieve it. Because when I focus, or when you focus on becoming the right person, the right opportunity eventually recognizes you. And when that moment arrives, you, not me, you will be ready for it. Why? Because you took the time to grow into the person that your future required you to be. Thank you, guys. Back to you, Mary.
You know, it's so interesting. Everything that you were saying, so many things were going through my mind, especially what happened to me today. I had a crazy, uh, unexpected, but in a way expected challenge. And I got a little, the old me was really trying to come back. And thank goodness it didn't. It didn't. I had to stop and catch myself. And that's from me, what I've been going through the last few weeks, learning how to, as you say, be that person that you need to be to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So thank you so much for that, Coach Seymour, because it resonates so much with what I've went through today. I mean, it was like almost like this was nobody else was here. This was just for personally for me to hear. So I appreciate that. You all please give him some love in the chat. And
You're welcome.
I hope that you all take this to heart, what he said, because it is so true as I'm going through what I've been going through. And I've talked to you, Coach Seymour, about it. But it's like everything is on point. You do have to become a different person if you want to achieve what it is that you want. And I'll quote something from the Quran. It says that God will not change a condition of a people until they change that is which is in themselves. And I was just like, that's the first thing that popped in my head. And I was just like, wow. And sometimes, like I say, you don't until you've made that decision to go forward, really go forward and push forward, it won't hit you like that. It just won't. So I hope that everybody took to heart what he had to say and really, really push forward to be that person. It's not all just talk. It's with the action. And as you get better and as you get better, you will experience that posture, that confidence, so that you know, yes, what I have is valuable. Yes, what I believe in what is valuable to others. They need this. If they don't, then that's. But thank you. I believe Coach Will is here. Coach Will, do you have anything that you'd like to add or not?
Thank you. And I'm just excited that Coach Seymour and yourself as well has decided to take this call to another level. I had this particular call for about 5 years, and just over that time, observing your growth, observing Coach Seymour's growth, conferring with Coach Marcus and others. Um, this has become, in a very short amount of time, one of the most impactful calls that I think our team has. And before we wrap up, just based on what Coach Seymour was saying, especially at the beginning, I just want to talk about something because we have a little bit of time, um, that could genuinely change the trajectory of anybody who's fortunate enough to be on this call's business, and it can also change your life. Because if you study success, as a lot of us do, we're students of success in any field, be it network marketing, sports, business, music, anything, you'll notice something interesting. The people who grow the fastest, like Coach Seymour said, he remembers, Jessica's first day. Me too. And to see her now, to see Miriam when she first started, to see Miriam now, and so many others. I wish y'all were here at the very beginning so you could see Coach Marcus's growth and my growth. Um, but the people who grow the fastest are the people who put themselves in the right environment in person or online, like on these calls. And there's something powerful that happens when you step out of your normal routine and the routine of everybody else that you may be around who's engaging in what we would call average activities. There's nothing wrong with that. Watching TV at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, nothing wrong with that. But when you step out of your normal routine and put yourself around people who are thinking bigger, earning more, building bigger, believing bigger, something special and very powerful happens. And that's what our Dallas event at the end of August is about. When you walk into that room, you're not just going to hear information. You're going to feel the energy of people who are doing the work, who are winning in the field, making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month, and who are showing others what's possible. And you start seeing examples that make you think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And that shift in belief is often the moment that everything begins to change. Now, one of the leaders who will be helping guide that experience is Coach Seymour Greenridge Blake. And if you've ever spent any time in person around him, you already know Coach Seymour is someone who leads by example. He doesn't just talk about growth and teach about growth and talk about discipline and teach discipline and talk about leadership and teach leadership. He lives it. And he's helped a lot of people move from uncertainty to confidence simply by showing them how to develop themselves while they develop their business. He has a real special gift for that. Because here's the truth that most people, they eventually discover this. Your business only grows as much as you grow. And if I had to sum up his teaching tonight in one sentence, if I had to, it's hard, but if I had to, it would be that your business only grows as much as you grow. And if you want a bigger life, you start by becoming a bigger version of yourself. If you want bigger results, you start by expanding your mindset, your belief, and your skill set. And events like Dallas, that Coach Seymour mentioned at the beginning of the call, they create the space and opportunity where that type of growth can happen. You get around leaders, you learn the system, you build relationships, and sometimes, one conversation, one idea, one moment of clarity, or one decision can completely shift the direction of your future. So as you think about your next step in this business, you ask yourself something very, very simple. Where do I want to be 1 year from now? Where do I want to be 1 year from now? And then ask yourself, what kind of environment will help me become the person who can create that future? And for many people on our team, and probably everybody on this call, that next step is Dallas. So if you're serious about growing, if you're serious about learning, if you're serious about becoming the type of leader who builds something meaningful, Dallas is where you want to be. And honestly, we just love to see you there. All right. So that being said, Miriam, thank you so much for that call. Thank you, Coach Seymour, so much. As always, brother, cannot wait to see you in person as well. And back to you, Miriam.
Okay, well, I guess that wraps up this call. I want to thank Coach Marcus Jones so much for coming off his special time with his family to host this call for us. And I hope again that we all just dig in and take our businesses to where we, in our heart, we know they can be. That being said, have an amazing evening and God bless.